Today, we're going to talk about something that sounds simple, but is actually pretty profound. It's this idea that living honestly, truly as yourself, can lift this massive weight off your shoulders. And it doesn't just make life easier, it can make it genuinely happier.
Seriously, just take a second and really imagine that. What would it feel like to go through your day with zero pressure to pretend? No stress about keeping your story straight, and absolutely no anxiety that someone might see the real you. It sounds pretty peaceful, right?
The reality is, so many of us spend our lives wearing these invisible masks. We put them on to fit in, to impress people, or just to hide the parts of ourselves we think are flaws. But here's the thing, those masks are exhausting. They're just incredibly heavy to wear all the time. So let's really dive into the burden of this mask. And it's super important to remember, this isn't about being a bad person or anything like that. It's about understanding the very real and very heavy hidden cost of all that pretending. There's actually a term for this feeling, cognitive stress. And it's basically the specific kind of mental burnout you get when your brain has to work overtime. It's not just living your life, it's also constantly managing and defending a false narrative on top of it all. And here's exactly why that's so draining. Every single time you pretend or tell a small lie, your brain has to log it. It has to remember what you said, who you said it to, and all the details needed to maintain that story. Now multiply that effort over days, weeks, and years, and you can see how it becomes this massive invisible weight. This metaphor just makes that abstract stress feel so real, doesn't it? Every time you aren't true to yourself, it's like you're just adding another stone to that backpack. It's no wonder so many of us feel completely overwhelmed without even really knowing why. Okay, so what happens when you start taking some of those stones out of the backpack? Well, the first thing that changes isn't what other people think of you, it's the relationship you have with yourself. And this, right here, is where the real transformation begins. Let's really look at this. Every time you pretend, even in really small ways, some part of you notices. Your inner voice sees it, and it slowly chips away at how you see yourself. But when you choose to be honest, especially when it's tough, you send this incredibly powerful message to your own mind, hey, I can trust myself. And this internal trust, this self-respect, it isn't just some nice, fluffy feeling. It actually translates into real, tangible strengths. You start to build genuine confidence from the inside out. And that leads to more emotional stability and often a much clearer sense of where you're going in life. So once you start building that trust on the inside, it naturally begins to change how you connect with other people on the outside. Let's take a look at how that actually works. We often get this completely backward. We think that to be liked, we have to show up as this perfect, flawless version of ourselves. But real, lasting connections, they aren't built on a flawless image at all. They're built on the truth. Think about it. When you allow yourself to be honest about your real feelings, when you can admit your mistakes, and when you're open about your limitations, you give other people the chance to connect with the real you. And that kind of vulnerability doesn't push people away. It actually draws the right people in. Just think about this in your own life for a second. The people you truly admire and respect, they're probably the ones you feel are authentic, right? That's because genuine honesty signals reliability, and that is the absolute bedrock of any meaningful relationship. Okay, so how do we even start this journey? The good news is this doesn't require some huge, dramatic, overnight change. It's really all about taking small, gentle steps toward living a little more honestly, one day at a time. So here are 4 really simple things you can start trying today. First, just be honest with yourself. This is a private step, just for you. Acknowledge your own feelings without any judgment. Second, try to stop performing. Just give yourself permission in one small conversation today to not be perfect. Third, admit mistakes. I know this one can feel terrifying, but owning an error quickly and calmly actually builds respect. And finally, and this is so important, remember to speak your truth with kindness. Honesty is not a weapon, it's about sincerity. See? None of these steps are massive leaps, and that's the whole point. They're small, they're sustainable habits, and when you practice them consistently, they start to compound, creating this powerful, positive change across every single area of your life. And that's really what this is all about. The ultimate goal here isn't to be perfect, it's to be free. The freedom to finally put down that heavy backpack of pretense and just simply be who you are, without being afraid. That right there is where real peace and happiness truly begin.